Okay, welcome to the deep dive. So today, we're maybe doing something a little different. We're not really chasing the noise of the headlines.
Hmm.
We're actually turning the lens inward, looking into the hidden architecture of the psyche itself.
Yeah,
And we're using this really powerful, kind of sustained metaphor to guide us the downward staircase.
right. It's less about external events, more about this deep dive into psychic experience.
Exactly, an exploration of what that descent really means for the self, not just, literally going down.
That's a spot on.
Hmm.
We're looking closely at this really potent metaphorical text today. It uses Freudian ideas, psychoanalytic concepts to explore things like memory, repression, desire.
Okay.
And our mission really is to guide you through this experience quickly, yeah, but also thoroughly.
So you can have those aha moments about it.
Precisely. To understand how this whole metaphor reframes descent. It's not about falling. It's not some kind of moral slip up. It's framed as this fundamental, necessary, almost sacred journey back home to your own origin point.
A journey home. I like that framing. And it starts right there, doesn't it? The power of it. You're standing in that familiar space.
Yeah, with the room
The root wallpaper you picked out, the lamp that hums, that's like the ego's turf, right? The everyday self.
The functional self built for daylight, exactly.
But then ahead, there's this opening.
The threshold, the edge of the unconscious.
Mm.
And what the material suggests is this staircase. It's not grand.
No marble.
No marble, definitely not leading to some kind of victory or throne. It's just old and quiet, and it feels like an invitation.
An invitation into shadow. That sounds a bit ominous.
Well, yes and no. The text says the shadow invites, it doesn't swallow. And maybe the most crucial point right at the start is this.
Yeah.
You don't consciously choose this. You don't decide, okay, time for a psyche dive.
Right.
Your foot is on that first step because something deep inside you,
Yeah.
well, it remembered. It remembered the way back.
Okay, so let's unpack that. This contrast the text sets up immediately. The ascent of performance, our daily lives, versus this descent of memory.
Yeah, the initial environment tells you so much. Those first steps, they're worn smooth, apparently. Not by your literal feet, but somehow your history is there.
Yeah.
And the first thing that hits you sensorially is this dampness.
Dampness. Like a cellar.
Kind of, but it's explicitly not decay or mold.
Right.
The text says it is memory.
Memory itself.
Yeah, clinging to your skin like breath after crying is the phrase used.
Wow. That's potent. Breath after crying. So it's emotional residue.
Exactly, not dry facts.
Yeah.
It's the feeling left behind when something wasn't fully expressed. And as you go down, the air, it gets thicker.
Right.
And the way depth is measured changes. It's not about how far you are from the light anymore.
Okay, I want to focus on that because it feels really central. The text says depth is not distance, it's density. Can you unpack that density for us? What's it made of?
The density is,
Yeah.
what's all the accumulated stuff? The psychic history you haven't really dealt with. Like, think of sediment building up.
Layers upon layers.
Exactly. Every expectation you couldn't meet, every word you swallowed, every fear you pushed down, it all piles up around the core self. So the depth is measured by how much of that weight
Yeah.
you're willing to release.
So each step down isn't just moving physically, it's shedding something.
Precisely. Peeling off a layer. Not skin, though. It's the performance.
Ah, the performance, the armor. The text has that great image, doesn't it? Wearing competence like a coat.
Two sizes too big.
Yeah. It's ill-fitting, heavy, but you need it for the surface world, right?
Absolutely essential up there. In the ego's world where, showing weakness isn't really rewarded.
So we're talking about the smile you force for your boss.
Or the automatic, I'm fine, when you're absolutely not fine. That whole curated self that just can't afford to look vulnerable.
Yeah.
And the source emphasizes this moment where you just kind of let that coat slip off. And it falls. Silently.
Why silently? That seems important. Doesn't the ego usually put up a fight? Scream a bit?
Oh, it tries, sure. But down here, on this staircase, the rules are different. Performance doesn't work anymore. That coat, yeah, it's armor, but it's also noise.
Noise.
Yeah, it's all about external validation, status, effort, striving. The unconscious, though, it's silent. To really enter its space, you have to match that frequency. So the coat falling silently, that's you abandoning the audience.
Because there's no one down there to perform for.
Exactly. Which is, both terrifying and incredibly liberating at the same time.
Okay, so the coat falls, the performance stops, and then comes this next big realization. You are not alone. You feel something. A gaze. A presence.
Yeah, a presence. But here's the twist, the inversion of the usual horror story. This presence isn't hostile. It's not judging you.
No.
No, it's described as ancient, patient, and welcoming. It's not looking at the performance you just dropped. It's recognizing the actual self underneath that's starting to emerge.
And this presence, the text is pretty explicit about who or what it is, right?
It is. It's the part of you that never left this staircase.
The child self.
Yes, the exiled part. The one that was maybe too real, too authentic for the surface world.
The part that knew how to want things without apologizing for it.
Exactly that. The part that screamed when it was hungry and grabbed hold when it was scared, before it learned all the rules, before it learned that, oh, need is weakness, desire is dangerous.
So that original core need for connection, for fusion, it got banished down here.
Pretty much. And this is maybe the first really big aha moment for you, the listener, in this journey. Realizing that the most honest, the most urgent part of you isn't actually lost or broken.
It's just waiting.
Just waiting, welcoming you back to the truth of your own primal needs.
Wow. That shift, thinking of the unconscious not as a dungeon holding monsters, but as a waiting room, that's huge. The self you were maybe afraid of meeting is actually your oldest friend.
In a way, yes, your most loyal companion.
Okay, that takes us nicely into the next section, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Where this waiting self starts to communicate. Not with words, but through. Well, the text calls it the architecture of the unsaid, and this hum.
Right, as you go deeper, the light's basically gone now. But the darkness isn't just empty blackness. The source talks about light fading into texture.
Texture.
Yeah, the darkness gets dense. It has weight, it has sense. This is that sensory density of repression we touched on earlier. Repression isn't an empty void. It's like a vault packed tight with sensory data the conscious mind couldn't handle or categorize.
So the mind might forget the what happened, but the senses remember the how it felt.
Spot on. The body keeps the score, you know? And the text gives these really vivid examples of what comes back. The smell of wet stone or warm bread.
The lavender soap. Grandmother's hallway. Your mother's sigh before bedtime.
Exactly. These aren't random details. They're the unconscious bypassing your linear narrative memory. They're hitting you with the sensory anchors of pre-verbal experiences.
That mother's sigh. Why is that so potent?
Well, think about it. It can encapsulate some of the earliest, most powerful emotional data, right? Maybe a feeling of being a burden or not quite enough, transferred completely non-verbally long before you had words for it.
Or the smell of rain on pavement.
The day you didn't say goodbye. That specific olfactory memory tied to maybe abandonment or lack of closure. Your brain might have filed the event away, but the smell, the body held onto that file.
It's amazing how the unconscious uses fragments, texture, scent, the senses that were sharpest before language really took over.
Absolutely. The language down here isn't grammar, it's resonance, it's feeling. And as this sensory density builds, that's when you start to hear it. This primal call, a sound, the hum, low, rhythmic, deep.
And it's not just something you hear, right? The text says you feel it physically in your teeth, your sternum.
Yeah, molars and sternum, which tells you how fundamental it is. When a sound vibrates in your chest, in your bones, it's hitting your emotional center of gravity.
Primal stuff.
Deeply primal. And the text explicitly calls it maternal.
Maternal, like in the womb.
It's the echo of that earliest soundscape. The mother's heartbeat, the rush of blood, the rhythmic safety of the womb. It's like the ultimate auditory signature of where you came from, of safety.
But it's not threatening. Often a deep hum in the dark might feel ominous.
No, quite the opposite here. It's described as a lullaby.
A lullaby.
Yeah, but one that calls to a specific part of you, the part that curled up maybe years ago and just stopped asking for what it really needed.
The part that learned to hide its needs.
Learned to camouflage desire?
Yeah.
To love or ask for things in gestures small enough to deny. This hum is like an invitation for that hidden self to finally stand up and be seen, be heard.
So it changes the whole feeling of the descent.
Completely. You're not reluctantly shuffling down anymore. You're being drawn, pulled almost magnetically back towards this promise.
The promise being, what was it? No monster, only the truth you buried alive.
That's the one. It's the redemption of the unconscious. We're so conditioned to think the stuff we bury is monstrous, destructive.
Right, shameful citrus.
But this text suggests the truth you buried wasn't dangerous because it was evil. It was dangerous because it was needy, because it was vulnerable. And the surface world couldn't handle that.
So the descent promises a space where you can meet that vulnerability without judgment.
Without the immediate threat of external judgment, yes.
Okay, we're getting near the Well, maybe not the bottom, but the deepest part of this journey.
Yeah,
The air changes again.
it does. Warmer, thicker, sweeter. The description is like breath held too long and finally released.
Ah, that feeling of pure relief, physiological letting go.
Exactly. And this is where the structure, the staircase itself, kind of dissolves. The walls open up, but not into a room. No, into a womb of memory.
Wow. Okay. That imagery is powerful.
It's critical. Closes a circle. Return to origin. And that controlling, scheduling, worrying self. The you that manages the budget and the to-do list.
Yeah.
Safely upstairs. Irrelevant down here. Down here, the text says there's only feeling.
This feeling.
Raw. Unedited. Pure pulse. A whimper. An unapologetic reach. You're back to the absolute basics of being human.
That primal vulnerability. It leads us right into the next section, doesn't it? The heavy lifting, the Freudian stuff about desire, sexuality, and the symbols down here.
Absolutely. Because in that womb of memory, you encounter, well, presences. But they're not like specific people.
No. What are they like?
Figures without faces, arms without bodies. They're not objects, more like energy forms. Pure wishes, fantasies, the urges you locked away.
The things you told yourself were just a phase.
Exactly. Or things you learned to be ashamed of.
Why no faces? Does that mean they're not fully formed?
That's the idea. They're presences without the weight of personality. They're like the raw functions of the id, maybe.
Yeah.
Basic needs before shame stepped in and gave them a label or a story.
And crucially, they're not attacking you.
No, not at all. That's key. They're welcoming, like forgotten siblings, almost. They represent those desires that got judged and pushed down. But here, in this space, they're just natural, warm parts of you.
And the way the text describes the feeling of them, it's sensual but innocent. Warm, sticky, sweet, like jam on fingers, like the forbidden lick of cake batter.
It's that early childhood sensuality, isn't it?
Yeah.
Before everything got complicated and moralized. The simple delight in texture, taste, touch, messiness.
That forbidden lick of cake batter.
Yeah.
Yeah, that little act of pure, impulsive desire.
But the perfect metaphor for that raw appetite that got labeled bad or inappropriate, but was just life.
Yeah.
Delight. Sensuality before it got boxed into adult sexuality.
Okay, this feels like it's building towards the source's really direct reevaluation of the staircase symbol itself. It says explicitly it's not failure, it's not regression.
Yes, it's quite blunt about rejecting those common interpretations. It says the staircase is not loss. Instead, it offers this really startling definition. It calls it the vaginal passage of the psyche.
Oh, okay.
And it adds, not vulgar, not literal sacred.
Sacred, that's a radical reframing. Going down isn't falling, it's re-entering. A psychological rebirth.
That's the implication. Why frame it that way? Why sacred? Because it takes the whole journey out of the realm of pathology or moral judgment.
Right. If it's a sacred passage back to your origin, then everything you find there, the needs, the hungers, the sticky feelings, they must also be sacred parts of you, not illnesses.
Exactly. It bypasses the whole good versus bad internal conflict. And it clarifies that core Freudian idea about repression. What we repress does not die. It waits beneath the staircase.
It's just relocated energy, preserved, waiting for you to come back.
Precisely. And what's waiting? That sticky, trembling, unnameable hunger. But when we fold it up neatly and put in boxes marked later, not now, never.
But a hunger that relocated to the cellar of your ribs.
Yeah. And we really need to unpack that hunger. Freud's idea echoed here is that sexuality, or maybe better, libido, the life force, it starts way before anything genital. Pre-Oedipal.
In the earliest needs.
Yes. The mouth sucking, taking in the world, crying out. The skin, that deep craving for touch, warmth, holding. The gaze, the need to be seen, mirrored, accepted unconditionally. It starts, the text suggests, in the lack.
The lack. The gap left by that original sense of fusion when separation happened.
The moment you realize I and you were separate,
Yeah.
and that safety wasn't guaranteed.
So if the ultimate fantasy down here is about fusion, about melting back into that safety, how does that primal lack show up in the adult world? In the competent person wearing the coat?
Ah, that's the crucial link back. That original, overwhelming, terrifying desire for fusion to dissolve boundaries, melt back into that warm, wet, wordless space. It doesn't just vanish.
It gets channeled somewhere else.
It has to.
Yeah.
It can't literally crawl back into the womb. So the energy of that primal hunger gets, well, translated into adult currency. Like the drive for achievement, the climb up the corporate ladder, the relentless pursuit of status or perfection. Or sometimes those really intense, maybe consuming romantic relationships where you're trying desperately to merge with someone else.
So all that striving, is often just a substitute for wanting to feel held unconditionally.
Often, yes. An elaborate, complex, exhausting substitute for that simple, profound, unmet craving for safety and belonging. That feeling Freud called the oceanic feeling.
The oceanic feeling, that sense of boundless connection. Wow, so the ambitions, the career goals, they can just be noisy ways of trying to earn the belonging that was supposed to be free.
The staircase kind of reveals that, yeah, all the shoulds and musts are just loud attempts to get back to that quiet, unconditional holding.
Which brings us powerfully into the next section, section 4, the truth at the bottom and return to wholeness. What happens when you get there?
Well, the first realization is that there isn't really a place with boundaries. There is no bottom, no floor, no wall, no end. Only softness, only warmth, only the gentle, all-enveloping pressure of being held. It's not a destination you arrive at, it's a state you arrive in.
A state of being, pure acceptance.
Immersive acceptance. And it demands surrender. The text says the whole point of reaching this non-place is to cry, but not tears of sorrow.
Tears of release. What's that?
Sorrow mourns a loss, right?
Right.
Release. Release signifies letting go of a burden. All those knots we tie ourselves in, they'll think, it's too late. We tie them with effort. Huge psychic effort.
Right.
They don't untie with more effort or analysis. They just dissolve. When you allow it, when you surrender the need to be strong or together or in control.
Just letting go.
Simple letting go. And in that total surrender, this essence, this presence, it radiates the ultimate truth. Maybe the most liberating line in the whole thing. You were never broken. You were only buried.
Wow. Okay. Take a breath with that one. Never broken, only buried.
It reframes everything. It's not a diagnosis, it's recognition. The story we tell ourselves about being broken is the performing self's explanation for why it doesn't feel whole.
But the staircase shows the wholeness was always there, just under all those layers, the coat, the performance.
Exactly, under the density. So the truth doesn't heal you in the sense of fixing something damaged. It recognizes you. And in that recognition, you remember, ooh, I was always whole. Always enough.
And this wholeness is tied back to the child self we met earlier. The text says the child is literally still there.
Yeah, curled up in the basement of the soul, clutching lost things, whispering the words that got swallowed. I'm scared. Hold me, love me anyway.
That's the honest.
That's the core. And by burying that child, we create this huge misunderstanding about fear. The source challenges us directly.
Yeah.
You think you're afraid of the dark? You're not.
We're not. What are we afraid of then?
You're afraid of the warmth.
We're afraid of the warmth. That's counterintuitive. Why would we fear warmth, softness being held?
Because warmth implies safety. Safety invites surrender. And surrender means admitting you still need.
Need. That's the scary word.
For the modern functional adult, terrifying. Need implies dependence, weakness, failure of self-sufficiency. We worship independence. But the unconscious perspective here reframes need completely. Owning your fundamental human need for connection, for belonging. That's not weakness, it's wisdom.
Wisdom.
Yeah, it's your body's honest truth. You are a social, interconnected creature. Accepting that isn't failure. It's the key to peace.
Okay. So you absorb that wisdom, that profound acceptance. Then what? You have to go back up, right?
You do, but it's different. It's not a climb, not effortful.
Yeah.
It's described as an invitation upward. The self rises, floating.
Wow.
That heavy coat is gone. The transformation is felt. The walls that maybe felt pressing on the way down, now they feel like an embrace. The darkness that felt scary, now it feels like a blessing.
It's not an absence of light.
A canvas for your own inner reality.
So the big takeaway from this whole deep dive, this architecture, the physical act of going down the stairs is actually, psychologically, the return home.
That's the core paradox.
The fear you felt at the top was just the gate. And the dream, the metaphor, that's the map.
Exactly. And you come back to the surface, back to the room with the humming lamp. It looks the same, but you're different. You're standing right there at the threshold between the you who feared the depth and the you who now knows the truth of that hum, that warmth.
Which leads us perfectly to the final section, living with the echo. How do you actually integrate this? Take that soft, wordless knowledge from the womb of memory back into, folding laundry and answering emails.
Yeah, the integration, it's subtle, it's quiet. It's not like fireworks go off. The curated self, the one with the lists and plans and armor, it tries to snap back into place.
Naturally.
But the text says it doesn't fit anymore.
Oh.
The experience, the descent, it loosened the seams of the ego's coat. You try to put the old armor back on, and it just chafes. It feels wrong. You might find yourself less tolerant of interactions that are purely about performance.
So the internal landscape shifts, and you don't necessarily need to blow up your external life.
Exactly. No need for drastic external changes, usually.
Yeah.
The descent came to free you internally by giving you this permission slip.
Permission for what?
It's that voice of the essence self, the welcoming presence whispering, you are allowed to want. You are allowed to need. You are allowed to be held.
Even now, even here.
Even now, even here, even as you are. That internal permission just dissolves the old judgment system, the one that said performance equals worthiness.
And that changes how you see the world outside. The text says not brighter, softer, not clearer, kinder.
Right, because you stop demanding validation from the world based on your performance. You start seeing other people differently, not as competitors or threats, but as mirrors.
Mirrors reflecting what?
Reflecting the same things you just found downstairs in yourself. That same sticky, unnameable hunger. That same fear of surrender. That same quiet longing to be held.
So when you see someone else putting on a big performance,
you recognize it. You see the heavy, ill-fitting coat they're wearing. You might even sense the child underneath who's afraid to admit they still need something. You move from judgment or competition to just recognition. Maybe compassion.
No need to fix them or save them.
Or prove yourself better. Just recognition.
And finally, the text really pushes back against trying to just analyze this whole thing, right? The dream, the descent. It's not a puzzle.
Definitely not. Understanding, analyzing, that's the mind's way of trying to get control again. Trying to cage the wildness of the experience.
But the staircase asks for surrender.
It asks for surrender, not interpretation. It pulses. It resonates. You feel it. The unconscious speaks in hums and textures and feelings, not academic papers. Trust the feeling more than the neat explanation.
This has been, well, quite a journey, down and back up. Bringing it all together, the core lesson seems to be that staircase, that descent we might fear, isn't a threat at all. It's the threshold, the only way back to the self we had to leave behind.
We weren't falling. We were returning.
Returning home.
And that homecoming, that potential for return, it's always there. The descent, the dream. It didn't come to give neat answers. It came to give gentle questions. Questions that invite you to be present. Like, what does that hum feel like in my body right now? Or, what piece of armor am I wearing today that feels maybe 2 sizes too big? The deepest descent turns out to be the gentlest return.
So as you stand there now, listener, at that threshold, aware of maybe both the surface and the depth, remember the feeling. Remember
You are not too much.
Yeah.
You are exactly enough. Exactly as you are. Exactly where you are.
Even here, especially. In the descent, in the dark, in the dream. Welcome home.